Hello guys, happy Friday. You may be wondering, why don't we have school today? Well, Miss Anissa's going to explain. So, do you know when is Independence Day in the United States? If you know it, go ahead and say it real quick. And if you happen to say July 4th, then yes, you are correct. The 4th of July is the Independence Day of the United States. But what if I told you that there is another Independence Day that is celebrated? This Independence Day is called Juneteenth, and it is celebrated every year on June 19th. Let's watch a short video to explain what Juneteenth is, and then I'll tell you a little bit of history about Juneteenth.
June 19th is also known as the holiday Juneteenth. It is the oldest known celebration to honor the end of slavery in the United States. The holiday is most often celebrated in African American families or communities. Today, with computers and smartphones, news travels instantly. But after the Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation had to be carried from place to place and read aloud. That was the document issued by President Abraham Lincoln to say that enslaved people in the South must be set free. It took 2.5 years for news of freedom to reach enslaved people living in Texas. On June 19, 1865, they finally got the word. They were free. Jubilation, joyful celebrations broke out in places where the Emancipation Proclamation was read, and that was the start of today's Juneteenth traditions. People share stories of that great day, have picnics, attend rodeos and baseball games, go fishing, and have fun with family and friends. Juneteenth is also a time to learn and celebrate new things. Many museums offer Juneteenth programs and exhibits. Although the holiday has its roots in Texas, it shows appreciation for African American history and culture, and for the freedom of people everywhere. What would your Juneteenth celebration be like?
All right, guys, so that's just a little bit about Juneteenth, but Miss Anissa is going to break it down a little more for you so you understand what is the history of Juneteenth and why we celebrate it today. So, why is there a Juneteenth? So from 1610 to 1865, many Africans were taken from their countries and brought to America to work as free labor. For over 200 years, Black people were forced to work long hours in terrible conditions. They were treated as property and not as people. This time in American history is called slavery. It was one of the darkest periods of American history. The Civil War. In April of 1861, the Civil War was started in America. This war was between the northern states who wanted to end slavery and the southern states who wanted to keep it. The Emancipation Proclamation. Try to say that 3 times fast. All right. In 1863, in the middle of the war, President Abraham Lincoln signed a document called the Emancipation Proclamation. This document was written to give freedom to all of the enslaved African Americans of the South. How did people find out that they were free? Well, today we have phones, computers, and TVs to help us get information quickly. But in the 1800s, they didn't have all of that. They had to rely on word of mouth. So someone had to deliver the news to each state that enslaved people were now free. Juneteenth. It took 2.5 years for the message to reach the state of Texas. On June 19th, 1865, the last enslaved African Americans found out that they were free. This day became known as a holiday called Juneteenth. Juneteenth recognizes the official end of slavery. So why do we celebrate today? Today, African American families celebrate Juneteenth to acknowledge the freedom that their ancestors deserved and were given. It's a chance to recognize how far we have come as a people and the justices we must continue to fight for today. How do we celebrate? Well, in different communities, Juneteenth is celebrated by hosting parades, cookouts, and other cultural events. It's a great day to hang out with family and friends and to reflect on our history. Yesterday, the United States government decided to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. This means that June 19th will be nationally recognized and honored as an important day in American history. That's why we don't have school today, because tomorrow is June 19th, Juneteenth. So this day is given off for people to reflect on the history of Juneteenth and also the meaning behind Juneteenth, okay? And if you don't know, Juneteenth is all about freedom. It's about learning about freedom, understanding freedom, and living with freedom. I want you to ask your families and talk about, what does freedom mean to you? If you'd like to do this activity together, pay attention to the next slide, okay? So, here is a writing activity that you can do at home with your family. You can write your own poem about freedom. Miss Anissa prepared 2 options that you could do. First, there's an anagram poem. That's the one right over here. It says, write a word or phrase for each letter of the word freedom. Try to use words or phrases that remind you of freedom or feeling free. So for example, Miss Anissa's anagram poem, anagram just means that we're gonna write the letters of the words vertically up and down like this. And then with each letter of that word, I need to write a word or phrase that reminds me of freedom or feeling free. So for the F in freedom, I said finding adventure. For R, I said racing, because when I'm racing with my friends, I feel free. For E, I said everyone is equal. That reminds me of freedom. For the other E, I said earth, because when I think of earth, the place that allows us to be free, right? For D, I said diving in a pool, because when I jump off that diving board, friends, and plunge into that water, I definitely feel free. For O, I said open mind, because keeping an open mind reminds me of being free. And lastly, I use the M for making people happy. So you can do an anagram poem if you'd like with your families, or also you can do a census poem. That's the one over here. The census poem says, complete these sentence starters with words or phrases that feel like freedom to you. So for example, all of the words in blue, friends, will be the sentence starters, and then you would finish these sentences on your own. So I said, freedom feels like running through the grass. Freedom looks like smiling with all your teeth. Freedom smells like my abuela's pupusas. Freedom sounds like my favorite song. I feel free when I can be myself. And freedom is power. So here are just 2 examples of poems that Miss Anissa wrote, but you can go ahead and write your poems on your own. Here are the examples of how to get you started, and then you can finish these on your own. I hope you guys have a great day off, and I also hope that you take today to reflect on what it means to be free. Have conversations with your family about what freedom means to you all, and also don't forget to talk about Juneteenth, and maybe as a family learn a little bit more about what this holiday means to this country. I hope you have a great weekend, friends, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!